Hi, I'm Kaylee, also known as Rosie's Reptiles, on pretty much all social media platforms. I decided I wanted to do a little Q&A today, so I have 8 questions that were asked on TikTok and Instagram, and I'm going to answer them. Again, I'm Kaylee. I am a reptile keeper, a nursing student, and just a content creator on TikTok and Instagram, as well as YouTube, I guess, now too. I have a few reptiles. I also post a lot about my journey through nursing school and just stuff like that. First question, how many reptiles do I currently have? 3. I have Winnie, Rue, and Nathaniel. And they're awesome. But just to clarify, Winnie and Rue are mine. Nathaniel is not. Nathaniel is my sister's. So yeah, Winnie and Rue are right here. Winnie's up there, Rue's down there. And they're my girls. Nathaniel lives with my sister. I'm like his sugar auntie, if that makes sense. Next question is, do you plan on getting any more reptiles? And if so, what kind? I do actually plan on getting more reptiles eventually. Right now I'm capped out for space and time. But in the future, I plan on I would love a blue-tongue skink. I'd also love some White's tree frogs. And I would love a snake of some sort. Male ball pythons have like a special place in my heart. But I could also totally see myself getting like a male or female Hog Island boa constrictor. That would be great too. Ball pythons kind of scare me just because of their like feeding habits. That's why a Hog Island boa is a little bit more up my alley because they don't go on feeding strikes as often. Next question is, do you keep a journal for your reptiles? And if so, can you show it? I do actually have a notebook or not a notebook, but I keep all my notes on my iPad for my reptiles. I made over my Christmas break a ultimate reptile tracker and you can find it in my Etsy shop, but I can show you what it is. Forewarning though, or fair warning, I have been slacking in the tracking department. I was doing really good for the month of January and then it went but I'll show you what the month of January looked like. Okay, so it just looks like this. So this is what it looks like. This is just the cover, the Ultimate Reptile Tracker. It comes with a whole bunch of pages that you can pick and choose which pages you want to use. Some are customized towards snakes, some are customized towards geckos, some are customized towards like everything. You name it, there's something there. But there's a whole bunch of about you pages or like about your animal pages. This one's about Winnie and it's got like pictures of her and her like species name, morph, how old she is, when her birthday is, favorite food. And then what like the expected basking temperatures and stuff are supposed to be, humidity, and UVB. I also have one for Rue. That's what Rue's looks like. Exact same thing. Nothing different. Oh, and then I forgot a picture of the enclosures. So this was for the month of January, but you can tell where I dropped off. But this is where I track like what supplements are supposed to be fed on what day, and then what days they were fed, what days they weren't fed, that kind of stuff. And then this is Winnie's feeding tracker. And so pretty much you color code at the bottom what type of bug you're using or what type of bug you're feeding, and then how many of them they ate. And then as you can tell, hunger strike, being picky. That's what you wouldn't eat for me. And then there's another whole tracker for their weight when they shed, and then their pooping habits as well. And then this one was Rue's. Yeah, both of them were not being very cooperative on the 19th apparently. Or maybe that was when I was getting mad at them for only eating silkworms and not eating anything else. I can't remember, but I do remember in January I didn't feed either of them. This is gonna sound bad, but it worked, but I didn't feed either of them for a couple of days, and it got to the point where they were like, okay, Mom, where's our food? And then finally I fed them and they ate everything in their dish because they were only wanting silkworms. And if you know anything about reptiles, especially insectivores, they cannot just eat one insect. As much as they want to, they can't. Every insect has a different nutritional value, so you gotta feed a variety. So yeah, I was not having it. So I was like, okay, you two only want silkworms, I'll give you everything but silkworms. And then finally they ate. But yeah, that's pretty much the tracker. It's available in my Etsy shop and the link's in my bio. Next question is, how do you balance your work life, animal care, and content creation? This is a really good question actually, because I don't. I don't really have like a consistent posting schedule, especially for YouTube. I find it's when I have time to make a video is when I'll make a video. So now that school's done, I'll have a lot more time to be pushing out more YouTube content, which is nice. TikToks are super easy to make. They're super quick. I can find time to make those whenever. But as for how I manage everything, Google Calendar. Google Calendar is my best friend, and Google Tasks. I will show you my Google Calendar during school. because it was funny. So to put into perspective, during my exams, I actually allotted myself certain times to be studying certain subjects. It looked a little like this. A little crazy. Yeah, same with the week prior. A little bit crazy, but it worked. And then like normally I have my work in there and everything like that. But on Google Tasks or Google Calendar, at the very top, you can have tasks and like they'll cross off as you do them. And so I would actually go into tasks and then I have different folders for everything. I have a folder for just generalized tasks. So like say I need to go pick up something from the grocery store, it'll go in there. School tasks, all my assignments go into school tasks. I have a section for Rosie's Reptiles where I put exactly what type of content I need to film. I have another one for my job where it tells me what days I need to post for them and stuff like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So for Google Tasks, for example, these are all crossed off, but I had so freaking many tasks. It was insane. But I did them all, so it's satisfying. So yeah, sum that up. How do I manage content creation, animal care, and work and school? Google Calendar. Next question is, what is your favorite nursing moment? I love this question because there's so many. But if I had to pick one, it would probably be my last day of clinical. No, if I had to pick one moment, it would probably be when a patient told me that I'm going to make a phenomenal nurse one day. That made everything worth it, because clinical, especially first year nursing clinicals, are insanely scary and they're really, really hard. Like, it's not that they're hard content-wise, they're more hard on you emotionally just because of all the stuff that you see. But I don't know, hearing from a patient that I'm going to make a phenomenal nurse one day just made my entire day and made it all worth it. Because I was previously doing another degree before this and it just wasn't going very well. And then I spent a year trying to get into nursing. So I did waste a few years before getting into this program, but I learned a lot. And I honestly have never felt like I belonged somewhere more in my entire life. I love nursing. Just saying. But yeah, that's my favorite moment. Next question is, what's a reptile I'd never own and why? A tokay gecko. You know what though? But they're stunning animals, but I would never, ever, 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 ever want one. I've heard some, like, very, very rarely have people been able to, like, handle them and they've been super friendly and all that. Majority of the time, they're sass monsters. So, I'm okay. I don't want one. I'm good. Rue is sassy enough for me. I don't want another sassy monster that's worse than Rue. I probably also would never get a savanna monitor. Probably, actually, literally because they are typically wild caught. I don't like the unpredictableness of them. And also they're very big and their diets are insane. So I don't know, probably not a savanna monitor. Next question is, with the upcoming Reptile Expo, what are your favorite things to get from Reptile Expos, and do you have any favorite vendors or small companies? So if you guys didn't know, the Edmonton Reptile Expo is coming up. It's on May 11th and 12th. I'm very excited for it. I always love going to the expos. I always really look forward to them because it's very fun chit-chatting with everybody. But probably few of my favorite things to get from Reptile Expos are wood and cork. Because, pro tip, if you have cash, always bring cash to expos. But if you have cash and say the wood is priced at 26 something, right? But you're giving them cash, they'll round it down typically to 25 because they don't want to have to give you the change. So they'll round it down to 25 for you. Most of the time, not always, but most of the time they will. Another thing I love to pick up from Reptile Expos are bugs, because you can get them for a really, really good price at the expos. And there's one vendor in particular that I'm thinking of that's always at the Reptile Expos in the city. They have so many bugs and they're so healthy. And I always stop by, say hi, and pick up bugs from them. As for vendors and small companies that I love to stop by at during the Reptile Expos, Runami is one of them. As we all know, Runami has a special place in my heart, so I always stop by there. Another company that I love is Invertopodia. They're new to the Edmonton Reptile Expo this year, so go check them out. They have a ton of isopods and springtails. So if you're needing any for bioactive enclosures, go get them from Invertopodia. And lastly, because I mentioned the company that always has the bugs, Ophidians by Design, are the ones that always have the bugs. They're always really healthy. They even sometimes have butterworms, and butterworms are really hard to find. So yeah, I appreciate finding some good butterworms. I don't remember though if Winnie and Rue enjoyed them last time. Oh, I will get more bugs anyways. I always pick up some crickets when I from them. I always pick up silkworms from them. I pick up, I just stock up on bugs. Last question is, are there any cost-effective hacks for bioactive enclosures? So bioactive enclosures, the startup cost is really expensive. I'm not going to lie to you, it's not cheap. But there are a couple ways that you can cut costs. One of them being you can get organic topsoil and play sand to fill your enclosures up with. I just recommend making sure you either freeze or bake both substrates before you mix them together and put them in the enclosures, just so you're not bringing in any bugs. But that's a really, really good way to save money on substrate, because bioactive substrates are so expensive. That's biggest tip I have for you. But other than that, breeding your own isopod colony is another way you can kind of save some money. Instead of going and getting 2-3 colonies worth of dairy cows or something to put in your bioactive enclosure, you can get one colony, breed them for a few months, and then pop them all into the enclosure, and voila, you have a sustainable colony. So that's another way, but again, you need to have time to do that. Last way I can think of would be to propagate your plants. If you have plants, reptile safe plants around your home already, you could always propagate them. Again, you'll need months for this, but if you have the time and you're prepping a couple years, or not a couple years, but a couple months in advance, maybe you could propagate a few plants, pop them in your enclosures, and then you don't have to buy any new plants. Another way would definitely be to check out Facebook Marketplace to get a used enclosure, because you can find appropriately sized reptile enclosures for dirt cheap on Facebook Marketplace. But yeah, honestly, bioactive enclosures, the price to get them started is super expensive, but the cost of maintaining them is virtually nothing. You don't need to change the substrate. You don't need to, if your plants are doing good, you don't need to change your plants either, but it's expensive to start with, but worth it in the end, cost-wise. But yeah, that's it. That was all 8 questions. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate all of you that ask questions. And yeah, please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.